So today we're going to look at decisions in Microbit. So we'll look at a very basic decision here. So if condition, then do something. So to start off with, we will look at our condition. If that condition is true, then we will do whatever is within the if statement. If that condition is false, then we will do nothing. So an example we have here is if number less than 5, then we'll show some text saying the number is less than 5. So the number less than 5 here, that's our condition. And then whatever we find within the if statement, that's the body of that if statement. So let's look at doing some testing for this. So if we have that the number is equal to 3, then it's going to test the condition, is 3 less than 5? It is, so it's going to show that number is less than 5. So our number will be a variable here. If number is equal to 5, so we'll test, is 5 less than 5? Well, that will evaluate as false, so then it doesn't show anything. And if number is 10, again, it will check the 10 against the 5. So is 10 less than 5? It's not, so it's not going to do anything. So that's your very basic decision. Just if a condition is true, then do something. And if it's not true, then you don't do anything. We'll just look at the next iteration of that, where we bring in an else statement. So here we're saying if a condition is true, then do something. Else or otherwise do something else. So let's go back to our example with the number less than 5. So here we're saying if the number is less than 5, and again, that's our condition. So the number is the variable, and we're checking to see if that variable, if the value of that variable is less than 5, then we're going to show numbers less than 5. Otherwise, we show that the number is 5 or greater. So let's look at some testing for that. So if the number is 3, so we're going to check, is 3 less than 5? That evaluates to true, so it's going to show that the number is less than 5. If we look at the next test case, where we have the number is equal to 5, we're going to check, is the number, which is 5, less than 5? Well, that evaluates to false. So this time it's going to show that number is 5 or greater. And then finally, our last test case, we've got if number is equal to 10. So what do we want to see there? Well, the number is going to be 10. We'll check the 10 against the 5. 10 is not less than 5. So again, it'll show that the number is 5 or greater. Now, in this situation here, our number is equal to 5 would be seen as a critical value, because we're saying if the number is less than 5. So we need to check and make sure that when the number is actually equal to 5, that it does the correct thing. So we're going to have a look at a couple of projects within makecode.com just to illustrate these decisions, just to see how do we construct them, what blocks are we going to use for them, and so on. So the first project we're going to look at is a greeting project. So we're going to create a variable called greeting. We're going to pick a random number between 0 and 1 and store it in the greeting variable. If the value of the greeting is 0, then we display hello. Otherwise, we're going to display goodbye. So we'll just go to makecode.com now. So here in makecode.com, we're just going to click on the Microbit. We're going to create a new project. So that brings us into our default project. And we are just going to get rid of the onStart. And we're going to get rid of the forever. So this time I'm just going to say on input A. So I'm just going to have on button A pressed. And I'm going to go create a variable. So every time the A button is pressed, it's going to determine what the greeting is going to be. So I'm going to go to variables, click on make a variable, and we're just going to call it greeting. And click OK. And then I'm going to pull across set greeting to 0. And then I'm going to go to the math blocks, and I'm going to go down and find pick random here. So pick random 0 to 10. I'm going to put that in there, and then I'm going to change the 10 to 1. So here I'm saying set greeting to pick random 0 to 1. So that's going to have a random value of either 0 or 1 every time. So every time I press the A button, it's going to create a random number between 0 and 1. So now I'm going to go to logic here, and you'll see here you've got an if true then, and you've got an if true then else. So I'm going to use the if true then else in this case, because I'm saying if the value of greeting is 0, I'm going to say hello, otherwise I'm going to say goodbye. So I just pull across the if true then, and now I need to construct my condition to go in here. So again, if I go back to logic, you'll see if you come down here, there's another block where you can check, you can do a comparison, and that's what we want to do here for our condition. So I'm just going to pull across that comparison and put it in instead of the true. And now I'm going to go to variables. So if I click on the greeting, I'm saying if the greeting is 0, then I'm going to show string hello. So if that value, that random number that's generated up here, if that's equal to 0, then I'm going to show the string hello. Otherwise, so else, I'm going to show the string goodbye. Let's just go into the else. I'm just going to change the hello to goodbye. So now, if I test this, I'm going to press the A button. This time it's saying goodbye, so that means that the value of greeting must have been a 1. I'm going to press it again, and it's saying hello this time. So the value of greeting is 0 this time. Now what I'm going to do just to show us that is, I'm actually just going to show the number, so show the value of greeting just while I'm testing it, and then I'm going to take it out once I'm happy that it's doing everything as it should be. So I'm setting the value of greeting to a random number, I'm showing the number greeting, and then I'm checking it. So let's just test this again. So it's a value of 1, so that should say goodbye, which is exactly what it's doing. Now I'm going to press it again. It's a value of 0, so it's going to say hello, which is exactly what it's doing. And I'm just going to test it again. It's 0 again. So again, it's just randomly picking either a 0 or a 1. So there's our hello again. A 1 again, and it's goodbye. So now that I know that it's working correctly, I can just take this out, pull out the show number greeting, and just know that my code is correct. Now again, I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to call it greeting here. And remember, once I save it, it'll download it, and then I can copy it onto the microbit like we've done before. So just have a go at that and see how you get on with it. So that's just your very basic decision. So if a variable is a particular value, then you're doing one thing, otherwise you're doing something else. So in our next project, we're going to simulate the tossing of a coin. So again, we're going to create a new project. We're going to create a variable called coin, and we're going to set that value of the variable, the coin variable, to a random true or false. So we're just going to look at a different type of variable this time. So we can have a variable, a Boolean variable it's called, which can have a value of true or false. And then we can check to see if the value of coin is true, then we display heads, otherwise we display tails. Now you could also do this with just a regular numeric variable, and again, just like we did in the last project, you could just have a 0 or 1, but I just want to show you a slightly different type of variable in this case, and it's a Boolean variable. So we'll go ahead and have a go at coding this project. So we're going to go to Home and create a new project. And again, we don't need the onStart, and we don't need the forever. This time the input I'm going to use is an onShake. So you could use this for tossing a coin. So here on shake, we're going to have a variable. So we're going to make a variable and we're going to call it coin. Again, it's really important that you give your variables names that mean something. So here I'm going to set coin to. Now if we go to the math blocks again, and again here you can pick random true or false here. So if I just pull that across and drop it in. So set coin to pick random true or false. And now I can go back to logic again. I'm going to use my if else again. So here I'm going to go to logic again, and I'm going to get my comparison. So here I'm just going to put that in there with the true. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to get them in there. So I'm going to go back to my variables. So I'm saying if the coin is equal to, and again if I go into logic now, I'll find that there's a true and false down here. So I can say if the coin is true, sorry, I'm not sure what I did there. So if the coin is equal to true, I'm just going to pull that across back in there. So if the coin is equal to true, then I'm just going to show the string heads, I think I had said. Otherwise, I'm going to show the string. I'm just going to get rid of this here so you can see the show string. So there's the show string, and otherwise I'm just going to show the string tails. And again, I could put in heads and tails, but because on the microbit it only shows one character at a time, it's probably better to just put in H or T. So again, let's just do a test here. So I've got a shake here. I can just press the button. It's giving me a T, then it's giving me a H, then it's giving me a H again, T again, T again, H again. So again, it's just randomly giving me, seems to be giving me a lot of H's there. Again, just randomly giving me T's and H's. Okay? So again, we're going to call this coin. And again, once we save it, it's going to give us the hex file. And once we have the hex file, we can then copy it across the microbit and just try shaking it there. So the final project we're going to do in this screencast is a sorting hat. So for any Harry Potter fans out there, we're going to simulate the sorting hat. So again, we're going to create a new project. We're going to create a variable called house. And then we're going to pick a random number between 0 and 3 and store it in the house variable. If the value of house is 0, then we're going to display G for Gryffindor. If it is 1, then we'll display H for Hufflepuff. If it's 2, we'll display R for Ravenclaw. And finally, if it's 3, we will display S for Slytherin. And this is one that I've used quite a lot with some student groups that we've had in for various different workshops. And they really like the fact, because it's something they know and it's just a nice one to get them to do. So again, we're going to go to home here. We're going to create a new project. And we're going to, again, just do on start, get rid of the on start and the forever. I'm going to go to input. I'm going to again use the on shake this time. So every time we shake it, it's going to give us a different house. I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call it house. Click OK on that. And then every time we shake it, we're going to set house to, we go to math, and we're getting the pick random 0 to 10. And we're just going to pick random 0 to 3. So again, we're going to go to logic. We're going to get our if then else. And what we're going to say here is we're going to do a nested if statement here. So we're going to create our first comparison. And we're just going to do if the house is equal to 0, then we're going to show, again, I'm just going to get rid of this so you can see, show string G for Gryffindor, remember? So when it's 0, it's going to be a G. Now here we want to put in a couple of other if statements. So we're saying if it's 0, then show G. Else, if it's 1, then we're going to show, I think it was H for Hufflepuff. So we're going to just do that one next. So I'm just going to do else if here. So if I just click on the plus, it'll just add in another else if. I go back. Actually, I'm just going to copy this here, duplicate this bit here, because it has everything I need. I'm just going to put that in there. And this time I'm saying if house is equal to 1, then I want to show string H for Hufflepuff. I want to put in another else if, and again I'm just going to duplicate this one here and put it in. So I'm saying if the house is 2, so remember if the house is 2, we're going to show an R for Ravenclaw. And then finally, so remember the 4 values of house, 0, 1, 2 or 3. So we've checked to see if it's 0, then it's going to show G. Otherwise, if it's not 0 but it's 1, it's going to show H. If it's not 0 or 1 but it's 2, it's going to show R. So finally, when we get to here, it's definitely going to be 3 if we've actually gotten into here. So we don't need to put an if statement in there, and we're just going to show S for Slytherin. Now, for test purposes here, I'm going to show my number at the start, but I'm going to take it out once I'm happy that it's working as it should be. So I'm just going to show the number house, just so that I know that I've coded it correctly. So let's do a shake here. It's a 1, so it should be Hufflepuff. Shake it again. It's a 0, so it should be Gryffindor. Shake it again. It's a 1 for Hufflepuff again. 0 again. 3 this time, so it's a Slytherin. So the only one we haven't seen so far is the 2. So I'm just going to keep going until we get a 2, which we'll take. And there's the 2. So we've seen that it's giving me a G for Gryffindor when it's 0, a H for Hufflepuff when it's 1, an R for Ravenclaw when it's 2, and an S for Slytherin when it's 3. So this is something, so that's just a simple project to show you how you can use decisions for something like the sorting hat. You could also use it for dice. So if you're rolling a dice and you can show the various different number of pips that you have on a dice depending on what value you get. You could also use it for rock, paper, scissors, and I've used that effectively. So hopefully you'll find this useful.